In this lesson, we are going to look into a couple of different settings you can do in UFT Developer from the object identification perspective, as well as on the runtime and reporting settings, such as doing snapshots on errors or on warnings, or also capturing test steps in the result viewer. This is something you can centrally manage in UFT Developer, and we are going to look into this. So we have now built our test cases. We started with a basic structure where we built the first application models, scanned all the different test objects from the application and loaded them into the application models. We tagged the application models as well here with the different tags, so we are able to quickly identify how many login objects I have or how many flight information objects I have, so it will directly filter it to me and I have a good overview. Once we have finalized our application models, we use them into reusable functions and entered the objects and build our test steps for that specific function and use these test steps in our different test cases here. And after this, we went into the parameterization and have parameterized the different tests and functions, so we were able to data drive our test. And now finally, as a short wrap up and summary for this demo tutorial, we are going to look into a couple of settings within UFT Developer which will help you to enhance the reporting and configure it in the way you like it. So first of all, when you have created a UFT Developer template, you have here a folder called resources, and you will find a leanft properties file here. And here you have a couple of SDK settings you can configure. You can enter here the runtime URL. So out of the box, the runtime is running by default on 5095, but you can change it here. Also, how the SDK mode should be. It is by default in replay, but if you are using any kind of design time tools and you want to be in interactive mode, you can set this here to interactive. You can decide here if the UFT Developer is being auto-launched, the runtime, or if you want to disable it. You can also disable this from here, from the menu of UFT Developer. Just go and disable here. You have a couple of other settings regards to reporting. So if you want a reporter to be enabled, it's enabled by default. You have the title which you can configure, so you can say this is a run result, or this was the VPF flight GUI example. Let's say tutorial. You could add here a description. Maybe let's say this was the first WPF tutorial for UFT Developer using the flight GUI app. You could set the target directory if you want. Also the folder where your result should be stored. So by default it's run results. We can keep it. Also, if you want to override your results which are executed again and again, so this in design mode is definitely make sure you override it, otherwise you will having a lot of spam on your drive with different kind of folders where you are in a design area. Here you have the report level. This is also important. Sometimes if you don't want to capture all the different steps, just want to have a couple of steps captured. Maybe you want to see if things are written correctly, and you don't want to navigate through all the stuff. So you can say, okay, I want to have only either all the steps captured, warnings, errors, or completely turn it off. So this is possible from here, as well as a snapshot level. So I will turn this on to demonstrate that you can turn on snapshots as part of your test execution, and they will be tracked. Yeah, so I will set it to all, which means on every step it is going to do the reporting and capturing the snapshot. And that's it from the perspective of the result view. So let's see what impact we had. And we are going to run the test. So let's run only one. So let's go for the business only. So test is started. So login is executed. You see it has become slightly slower because now we are capturing snapshots on every step. So this has definitely an impact also on the local resources. But test is executed, validation is done, calculation is verified, and app is closed. And the impact what we had now is we have a result viewer. It's being still written. The Git integration. So now it's passed. Result is written. And I can view my last run results. And here you will see that I have in every step I have here the documentation via snapshot, and I can also see what was the item which was selected in from city as well as in to city. So you have the evidence also on data, not only in the documentation but as well on the snapshots, and you have here the confirmation what was selected, and when you clicked on new search it came out and closed the app. So this is how it captured all the different steps and taken snapshots. So this was the first thing. And the second thing here is to understand the settings in the runtime of UFT Developer. So you go to the taskbar on your Windows and select the UFT Developer runtime, right click, click on settings. So the runtime will open, and basically you have here three tabs for different purposes. First of all, here you have the add-ins tab, where you select what is the technology which should be active. So if I would like to do something with SAP GUI or SAP UI5, I need to make sure that these settings are saved and loaded. Otherwise, I'm not able to recognize the UI5 objects or the SAP GUI objects. So this is one thing you have to consider when you are switching to a different technology. Here you can configure the port, the default port for your runtime to run on. This is also important, the global synchronization timeout. This is the timeout which UFT Developer takes in order to identify and wait for an object. For instance, if you have clicked on submit user or submit order and it takes couple of seconds from your application to process the data, and for the next objects to appear, the next screen to appear, and UFT Developer is going to wait 20 seconds for the next screen or objects to appear which are part of your next test steps, and if they don't appear it will throw an error. Here you can also configure the remote RDP computer settings if you want. So this is basically the engine settings. The object identification settings, this is also good to configure before you start automating. Like here in the WPF, you can see that the buttons, they are identified basically here. If I've selected the technology WPF, I see all the different classes, and I am selecting currently the buttons. Those are by default identified by the object name and the text. But I have also additional properties available. So if I go in my UFT Developer application model and I select a button, so let's select the OK button, you see these are the two object name and text which are used to identify the objects. If I want to say, okay, there is an attached text I want to view, so I can just drag and drop it from here, from the available properties, and put it in the identify by. And if those are not unique, the UFT developer is not able to identify by the 2 properties listed here, it will use the 4 properties under assist using, to identify the object uniquely. And if it is also not possible, then it will throw an error. And this is something you have to do really prior automation before you build your application models. Make sure that this is set correctly. And you can do this on each class level. So like edit fields are only identified by object name. So let's go here and see the edit fields. We have here the edit field password. So this is identified by object name. This is fine as well. So here it's really the object identification properties you can configure. And the last one is where you can define some lab settings for UFT mobile. Very important when you are building mobile test. Make sure that your mobile lab is available with UFT mobile. Enter the address here. Decide how you want to authenticate, either with your username and password or using the access key. If you have any proxy settings or additional connection, you can enter it here, and proxy on your local connection you can also set up here. Once you're done, say you're good, click on cancel or save your settings, and those settings will be applied. So that was it, the first tutorial on UFT Developer to really build your simple test cases, basic test cases for desktop application of Windows presentation forms by starting building your application models first, then put your test steps using the application models in reusable functions like we have done here with login, enter flight details, select flight, enter passenger data, and close AUT. And then think about parameterization, how you want to do it. I've done it directly in the script by data driving the test cases and reusing all the different functions I've created. Additionally to the application models, so it's quite easy. So we have a high reusability rate. If I would have a change, I just need to go to the object model and change the object if the object changed, or if the flow changed and additional objects were added or objects were removed, I just need to go here and remove the step I don't need or add the steps after I've added it in the application model. So then data drive your test directly here. Make sure you have the right reporting settings from the leanft.properties file, and also the identification and runtime settings of the UFT developer runtime engine, so you are good to go. So this is a very powerful way to do test automation in the same manner like you would do it with other technologies like web, mobile, SAP UI5, Fiori, and other desktop technologies.